I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is a regularly scheduled Greer City Council meeting called and convened this evening, May 30th, 2017. Our meeting location has been changed. We are meeting in the Greer Municipal Court located at 100 South Main Street, Greer, South Carolina. Thank you for joining us this evening. As I just referenced, we have exercised an option to meet in an alternative location on an alternative date, so I hope we haven't confounded you too much in terms of where we're meeting and what we're trying to do, but I can tell you that it is for good reason. We weren't just trying to lose you in the process. We are doing some upgrades to our IT and AV equipment at Greer City Hall, and didn't have the full use of the area that we typically use for that, so we appreciate you finding us and joining us this evening. With that, in Mr. Griffin's absence tonight, I would ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll have an invocation for our council as well, too. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, we thank you for the blessings of this day, for your mercy and grace and love and forgiveness of our sins. We thank you that coming off this Memorial Day weekend where we have honored those that have given their lives to secure our freedoms, that tonight we meet in our courthouse, and thank you for the democratic process that we observe and for the community that you allow us to serve under that form of government. And we thank you that we're able to govern in that way. We pray, Lord, that we'll be mindful of all of our citizens, and particularly as we gather here, that we'll be mindful that our community is made up of all different kinds of people, and we need to be empathetic and understanding to the needs of all, and where we see injustice, we need to correct that. And so guide and direct us through those daily tasks as we seek to improve the quality of life for all of our citizens, as well as be with us this evening as we make decisions about the future direction of this city. We ask all these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
With that, we'll move to the public forum. In public forum, we entertain citizens who have information for the city that they would like to share with council in regards to items of relevance on our agenda. This evening, we have one person who has signed up to address the council, and that would be Mr. Billy Henderson. So, Billy, if you'll make your way to the podium, please, sir. If you'll come right through there. If you'll state your name and address as a matter of record, we would appreciate it.
My name is Billy Henderson, 1000 South Main, Greer.
Floor is yours, sir.
Okay. I actually own a piece of property at the corner of Highway 14 and Metro Drive and have a nice fine brick home there. I realize they're applying to get 8.2 acres put in the city, owned in the city, where they can build townhouses. I was told by Don Foster that sold the piece of property that the whole thing would have to go in the city for the project to go through. I've tried to attain the zoning rules and regulations, with no avail. I was never able to get anything. Okay. The project supposedly was not supposed to have a side road. The entrances were to be from Highway 14. They have a road coming in on Metro Drive, which they said the property owners that are going to build the townhome said that possibly the fire department might want him. That should be against the regulations. And I am opposed to the project. They have what they call a 25-foot buffer zone. I talked to Greenville County this morning. They said they would have to put a fence all the way around it and separate the property should it go through. and against the proposal unless they do buy my land and do the whole project.
Thank you, sir. We will, looks like we've got the second reading of ordinance 14 later this evening. We may can provide additional information in regards to some of the concerns that you raised this evening, so we appreciate your concerns. With that, we will move on to the minutes of our council meeting from May 9th. I'll entertain a motion that they be received.
So motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Items of note for the clerk this evening. Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Ms. Bookert?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Council departmental reports are contained in your packet. You have information in that regard. Department heads or the administrator will be glad to help you with any questions you have in regards to that monthly activity. Mr. David Seifert will bring us an update on our financial activity report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight we bring to you the financial performance summary report and our budget reports for the period ended April 30th, 2017. Starting with the general fund, we have revenue reported of $20,179,820 with expenditures of $16,723,945. That expenditure amount is 8% under budget for the period ended April 30th. Looking at the dashboards, we have an overall benchmark variance that is positive of $3,627,408. And the carrying cash balance in the general fund is $13,840,392. Moving to the hospitality fund, the revenue is 6% over budget at $1,703,348, with the expenditures of $1,807,086. With the carrying cash balance in the hospitality fund of $897,428. And finally, in the stormwater fund, we have revenue reported of $308,949 with current expenditures of $187,185 with the carrying cash balance there in the stormwater fund of $1,156,071. Be happy to take any questions you may have at this time. Or if not, then you may forward them at your discretion to our office.
Council, questions? Additional information? Seifert said he'll be glad to help you with anything that may occur to you at a later time. Feel free to give him a call. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the update. In addition to our regular meeting this evening, we've got a presentation. Our presentation this evening is in regard to a recent traffic study that we had done. This is in response to some concerns that have been raised about traffic in a residential neighborhood that adjoins Highway 29 and also some other roads that have seen an increase in traffic due to a number of different kinds of circumstances. And we have heard from the residents that there are concerns on their behalf about the traffic and growing traffic problems in that area. And we felt that it would be most prudent and in our best interest to engage an expert in that area to help us better understand how we might proceed in terms of solving these problems. One of the things that we don't want to do is to venture into an area where we might not be as insightful or understanding as someone who practices on a regular basis, and we certainly don't want to compound the problem in any regards through our own efforts. And so with the help of Gay Sprague, who is an engineer and has a consulting company that specializes in traffic engineering issues and dilemmas, we've engaged her services, and tonight she is coming to present the results of that traffic study and hopefully give us some insight into what we may be dealing with at the Mount Vernon traffic study. So, Ms. Sprague, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity to be here. As the Mayor described, the segment of roadway in question is this segment of hillside that intersects with the old 101. I believe it's called O'Neill Drive now. This roadway serves the area above it that has Chestnut Drive, Oakdale, and several other roadways in it. And so when this request was brought forward, just as the mayor said, the first question is, would we negatively impact other areas if we made this change? And so we conducted traffic counts at the locations that you see in red at selected times of day, several days. We counted how many people turned left, right, all the movements, and then looked at considering this is the only way to get into this neighborhood here, how might traffic redistribute if we made this change? And so my estimates are, and these are, they are exact numbers because they're how my calculations came out, but of course exactly how many would move to other streets, you'd have to have a lot more detailed study to find out. But in general, what would happen, judging from how all these movements are made at these intersections, is you would, of course, you'd eliminate traffic on this little section because it'd be closed, and you'd eliminate some traffic on this section, maybe 100 cars a day, but they would have to go to some other street. And my estimates are that you'd increase traffic on Chestnut Avenue by about 200 cars a day, and you'd increase traffic on this section of Mount Vernon by 88 is my number, so let's just call it about 100. So when we saw those numbers, I went back out to the field and said, well, is there something else that we can do on this segment of roadway that might help with if there's some excessive speeds, because the road does not have enough volume to meet your traffic calming guidelines. And so what I did notice is that at this intersection, there are already stop signs on Hillside, but there are not stop signs on Chestnut, and there are some blind corners there. And when people come this way, they do take that turn rather, they just make a rolling turn. So my suggestion would be to put in a four-way stop there, beef up the stop signs a little bit, and put stop bars on all four approaches. And so try to get the traffic to, because there's a legitimate reason to put in a four-way stop, try to control the traffic just a little bit better. But if we close the road, we would be just moving that traffic somewhere else.
Bill, I know there's going to be a number of questions, and we'll certainly open that up to council. I'd like to ask, if I could, just to kind of lead this off. One of the things that you mentioned was traffic calming, and of course that is, that can be accomplished in a number of different ways. If one of which is, as you mentioned, would be some sort of fixed device that hopefully would slow traffic in some regard, speed table or whatever they're now called. If we suspended or looked at a variance in terms of meeting that minimum number and speed and some of the things that go into creating that formula that gives that base level for traffic calming, is there any indication from your research that well-placed calming devices would have any alternative effect on that traffic pattern that you see out there?
I'm looking at from your earlier study of speed and volume, average, the 85th percentile speed was only down around 24 miles per hour at where this was taken. It's somewhere on Hillside. And so you can expect a speed hump to slow vehicles down to about 22. So you probably wouldn't get a big
drastic difference. Okay.
And that's the reason for having the guidelines like y'all do.
Okay. Others? I know you talked about additional signage, particularly in regards to stop signs. We're talking about a four-way stop at the intersection of Mount. Would that be a three-way stop or four-way stop?
It'd be four-way here at Hillside.
Oh, at Hillside. Okay.
If you pull up right here on Hillside, you cannot see to the left far enough for what the posted speed is. And so if we get everybody to stop all the way around, then you'll take care of that. And then also this movement will be just a little bit more encumbered in its path through this area.
Okay, in regard to where Mount Vernon and Chestnut meet, when I came up above the grocery store, where one of the traffic counts takes place. Currently, there is only one stop sign there, that's correct, as you come down Chestnut?
That's correct.
Would a three-way stop at that particular intersection have any impact?
I didn't look at that. Generally, I recommend stop signs where there's some geometric reason to do it, so that you don't get, any city or county, don't get yourself into a situation where you're installing them just arbitrarily. So that's the reason here, my reason was because there's that blocked sight line. And there might, I could go look at that also, I did not look at that.
I realize it's blasphemy, but would a traffic circle at either one of those intersections improve traffic flow?
Well, the thing
Help
about,
us accomplish what we're trying to accomplish there?
the thing about traffic circles is that they're generally meant to keep traffic moving, and they're usually designed for about 22 miles per hour also. So once again, you're keeping the traffic moving. That really won't address what the original question was. Now, once again, as I said, I didn't look at this one as carefully. One thing you've got to be careful about with traffic circles is that they're not really pedestrian friendly, because you're talking about a roundabout. If you're talking about a roundabout where the traffic's supposed to keep moving, then the vehicle drivers are thinking about keeping moving, not about pedestrians. So it's just something to think about when you're in a neighborhood like this.
Is there a volume that justifies roundabouts?
Not really. It's really...
It's more of a preference.
It really is. And if you're in a situation in which keeping one of those movements moving is something you're trying to accomplish.
With the roundabout, wouldn't that take up some property? I mean, wouldn't you have to go in and cut into people's property? Yeah.
They do. Now, just a little circle, that's a mini circle. You can use those. I would highly recommend that be part of your traffic calming program versus something you go in insert in one of these cases. But a true roundabout, yes, you probably got enough. Well, I don't know. This right of way is pretty close. You probably would be getting some right of way.
I just wanted to make sure I understood. So if you were saying if we closed off Hillside, which was what we were, one of the purposes of your study, that would actually add more traffic to Chestnut. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason I asked that question is because a lot of the residents on Chestnut Avenue brought the petition initially that got us interested in doing the study to get more information. And I just want to pass that along to them, that this would negatively impact folks in that area if we closed off Hillside.
Yes.
They would actually get more traffic.
They would.
Okay.
And that was the reason for doing all those counts. Y'all's police department did a great job. I told them where to count and what to count, and they did it, and just very, very helpful information, because you have to get here. And so you're going to have to get here either using Hillside or Mount Vernon Hillside. So if we take them off of here, they're going to be added somewhere.
And on that thin strip of Hillside, you found more of the traffic was actually coming and going from the neighborhood, not necessarily cut-through traffic. There is some cut-through traffic.
I don't know what the balance is. I just know that there's enough going here, going into that neighborhood, that it would adversely affect. I'm sorry, I can't remember that balance.
That's okay. I think it was like, if I remember, because, we met, and you kind of went through some of the preliminary numbers. If I remember correctly, it was 2 or 3 to 1 that was using the neighborhood versus cutting through to cut down to back to the grocery stores and back to 29.
That sounds reasonable.
And you also mentioned that if we wanted a more detailed study, that was, it's going to kind of have a little bit of sticker shock that we would be, it sounded like you actually like taking pictures of plates and figuring out where they,
Yeah.
is that?
You would have either cameras or people stationed at each one of these places, and let's say, well, if you had a camera there, then when somebody took that film back into the office, they'd write down, okay, license plate CVB 045, turned left here at 6:37. And then this person would have CVB 065, whatever I said, turned here at 6:38. Well, then, so you know that you can just track people through here. But you can imagine how labor intensive that is to get enough to make it a worthwhile. I mean, we counted, for this, I believe it was 5 hours of traffic. And so I felt really good about let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 different hours. So I felt really good about the numbers we have. And so to match plates for that many hours would be very labor intensive. I mean, it's certainly doable, but it's just labor intensive, which of course equals money.
Is it different hours on different days, or different hours at the same day, or?
We did different, I think there were maybe 3 different days involved, but we did 7 to 8, 10 to 11, 12 to 1, 3 to 4, and 5 to 6.
The average number of cars that we observed from any one of those periods would have been about?
Well, the total for the whole day is 345, and then, I don't have, my numbers are over there, but then what I did was take the volumes that we observed and compare that to the percentage of 345 that it was for the whole day, and that's how I got that 196 and the 88 and all that.
I don't know how familiar you are with the Blue Ridge Drive situation.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion whether or not that was a good or a bad thing?
All I can say is that it was probably necessary, considering how close it ended up being to the intersection. That maybe we had some additional public outreach have been done. Probably so.
Well, they initially brought that project to us, and they had 2 proposals, and neither one of those, that's not what we have now. You know, they initially had a right turn only, and then they had also a cul-de-sac where O'Neill and Blue Ridge were going to come together. And there was a good bit of public feedback and scrutiny of the 2 plans, and so we ended up getting option 3, which wasn't necessarily on the table and didn't have the opportunity for scrutiny and feedback, and I think that's provided a lot of frustration. And I see it daily. I live on Blue Ridge Drive, and so I see people coming down Chestnut, and they think that they're going to hit Blue Ridge, take a left, and then I literally every day they'll hit that bullhead or whatever we're calling it, and then they turn around and come back out. And it, you can tell people just anticipate that it's going to run into O'Neill or in 291 and one back up there, and it's not natural the way it's set up. But I do understand the frustration of the people, the 4 houses there on in that little neck of hillside. It has increased their flow of traffic because of Blue Ridge closing. A lot of that traffic used to go on the lower end Bar Road, and now they get the brunt of it. So
Because the people got to get their houses. Yeah.
that's right. So. And isn't that, I mean, aren't we going back with the planning for roads, it's going more back to more of a grid system versus one way in and out, so it's more, I guess, ideal with this setup versus kind of your cul-de-sac method?
Yeah, I mean, having this many ways to get into that neighborhood, even though it doesn't seem like many if you're the people who, as you say, we all understand who live right here, is a good thing. But having Blue Ridge also is a good thing too, because then it spreads the traffic.
Others? Appreciate the information. Thank you.
Very much.
Are we going to get a copy of it?
Glad to provide you a copy of the final report, absolutely. Yes, we have that. Also, because the traffic engineer identified that there is a sight distance issue concerning the proposal for the four-way stop. That would be an engineering standard for us, and so we would expect that you will see that installation simply because it's been identified as a sight distance issue. So we will proceed through our Public Services Department and engineering to implement that recommendation.
With that, then, we'll move to the administrator's report. Mr. Greer.
Yes, sir. Mayor and Council, just a couple of items, mostly calendar items for you, and one of those is to remind you of our employee family picnic. I see some T-shirts at your tables tonight. That is part of what we will be doing on Saturday. We certainly hope that you and your family will be able to join us. We'll be gathering at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at City Hall and at City Park. It'll be a wonderful morning for us. You can see the theme there as we are starting to prepare more for a summer of athletic events and those types of programs. We see a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate as a family of employees as well. And so we're going to have a great time with our families. We'll be having food and entertainment there at City Hall, City Park, so please do plan to join us. It's one of our largest events that is attended by our employees and their families each year. We always look forward to it. We also have our Chamber of Commerce Public Safety Recognition Program. That'll be taking place next Tuesday. It'll be at the Cannon Center. That is on June the 6th. So I do encourage you to attend that. We'll be sending an email out to you asking for a confirmation so that we know how many folks that we'll have at our reserve table. But it is always a wonderful, wonderful event as our local business community gathers to recognize our public safety workers throughout the city and our community. They always do a great job of providing some entertainment, great prizes, and always good food. So please join us on Tuesday evening, June the 6th, as we celebrate with our Chamber of Commerce for our Public Safety Recognition Program. We are continuing our farmers market here in the community on Thursday evenings. If your schedule has not yet provided you an opportunity to go by and sample some of the goodies that are there on Thursday evenings, you have missed something indeed. It will continue here through the summer, so please, Thursday evenings, our farmers market in downtown. Also, beginning this week, June 1st through July 27th, we will be having our Moonlight Movies in the park. That, again, starts this Thursday evening. Always a wonderful turnout for families for that event. As you are aware, it is a free event for our community, and we look forward to celebrating that this summer as well. And certainly last but not least, please make sure that your calendars are identified for Saturday, June the 24th, as we will celebrate our annual Freedom Blast event. That will take place on the lawn at City Park, and it is, again, a wonderful evening of music and sights and sounds, and of course a grand fireworks finale show that will culminate the evening there on Saturday, June the 24th. So summer is upon us, and we are very, very busy with events. We will send an email with these calendar item reminders to you. I know that's helpful, and we will get that out to you tomorrow as well. But we look forward to seeing you at each of these events. Mr. Mayor, I do not have any items for consideration for executive session this evening unless there are items from council.
Thank you, sir. As Goods Administrator makes her way to the podium, we have one item of old business this evening. Is the second and final reading of ordinance number 14-2017, an ordinance to provide for the annexation of property owned by Herwell LLC located on Highway 14 and Mitchell Drive by 100% petition and to establish a zoning classification of DRD for said property. The floor is yours. Information in that regard for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Good evening. Again, this site is located at the corner of Highway 14 and Mitchell Drive. It is 7.19 acres, being annexed into the city. There is another parcel that is part of this that is a rezoning, and you will have final reading and look at that in the future. It is 81 townhome units, and New Road is 1463 linear square feet, and the site density is 10.32 units per acre. Provided all the information at first reading. I don't have any changes to make tonight.
A question in regards to the new road for fire access or ingress and egress. Can you give me some information in that regard?
Yes, sir. There is an emergency access drive onto Mitchell, and that will be provided in accordance with comments from Fire Marshal at the PAC committee. It is a requirement that they have that installed, but it will not be a full drive, as these are private roads, and we cannot have two access points into a private development from two public roads.
In regards to separation for surrounding properties, our ordinance calls for any separation in regards to single family versus multiple family, or in the DRD, does it indicate some design separation?
They're required a 25-foot buffer, and typically when you have a new development like this, they will have some sort of fencing or landscaping around 6 feet in height, but the buffer is all that is required currently. We do consider townhomes to be attached single family, so technically we're looking at single family to single family, although it is a slightly different product.
Okay. Others?
I didn't see a memo of the planning commission. They have comments on this in regard to Mr. Henderson's.
They did not. They received his information, and they voted unanimously to approve the project as submitted. The engineer of record is here, the developers are here if you'd like to speak with them about it.
Include the planning commission's
Yes, sir. We'll certainly do that.
minutes on future stuff.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
By show of hand, is the owner of the property or developers of the property here? Anything that you would like to add to this conversation?
Be glad to answer any questions if the council may have.
Council, any questions of the developer, property owner?
Fair. It appears they're going to have adequate screening and buffering. That would seem to be major points of contention, and then, of course, the access is almost mandatory.
Yes, the access is mandatory. It's when we pointed out, the fire marshal does require a second access, and it will be an emergency access only. We have to determine what will make it, make the access look like, but it won't be paved all the way to Mitchell. It'll be some type of either aggregate. We'll work with the fire marshal on that. Usually we put an aggregate underneath sod so they can drive over it, still support the fire vehicles, but it will look like a landscaped area. There will be a sidewalk there that they'll have to drive over, but then between the sidewalk and where our road ends, it'll be either a gravel or gravel with sod on top of it, or some type of pavers, whatever we can work out with the fire marshal. And as far as the landscape buffer, we'll follow any of the city's requirements. I believe 6-foot screening, whether it's a fence or landscape.
How are you going to discourage residents from using that extra entrance?
Well, it really, hopefully they won't know it's there. We try to make it look inconspicuous, and we've done another one where we did exactly that. We put a recycled concrete aggregate about 8 inches thick, and we covered it with sod. Sod grows in almost anything, this Bermuda sod, and so we covered it with the Bermuda sod. You never know it's there. We outlined it with some large rocks so that the fire trucks would never spot it, we'd know where to go. And we'll do the same thing in this location.
Others?
What are the Do we have any, like a target price point on this, or finishes, or do we know anything more about the project at this point?
I can tell you a little bit more. We've done several communities for this builder. It's Ryan Homes. They're building the exact same units that they intend to build here in 2 other locations, and one of them is currently under construction. The other one is almost built out, and they're advertising from the 170s. However, most of those closings are in the 200 range, plus or minus. Even though they advertise from the 170s, they rarely get there. So we would anticipate these being very close to those. And they're typically vinyl with stone and brick accents. I guess it would be similar to Riverside Commons or some of the other communities Ryan has done in the Greer area.
Did you consider picking up the parcel on the corner as part of the project?
Yes, we did make an offer to that owner, and I guess the best way to put it is that his offer was not very reasonable, his counter offer, and they decided to move forward without that parcel.
Just couldn't come to terms.
Others? Thank you, sir, for the information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, staff? Comments? Ms. Duncan?
Need a motion.
Need a motion. I'll entertain a motion to receive number 14-2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert? Yes. Mayor Danner?
Yes. Thank you. 2 items of new business this evening, the first of which is a bid summary for the subsurface drainage system. Bid results will be presented about the subsurface drainage system of the upper soccer field at Suber Road Complex. We have mentioned this project in the past, and so we'll have an update from Ms. Cunningham this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you would please refer to the attached bid summary sheet, you'll see that Wilson and Associates Sports Turf was the only bidder for this project. The 2 bids were requested from each bidder regarding system capacity diagrams for an athletic field. And the first bid, Athletic Field B, was for 37,000 gallons per hour minimum, and the alternate bid was for 35,000 gallons per hour minimum. Wilson and Associates Sports Turf's first bid is $29,837, and their alternate bid is $26,695. Our budget to complete this project is $54,300. In the alternate design, which is recommended by Wilson and Associates Sports Turf, there are much less parts and materials that are required for the installation, and it's much simpler than Athletic Field B option. The alternate design is less expensive, and it is adequate for addressing the drainage issue for this athletic field. Another contributing factor for the low bid in comparison with our budgeted funds is that Wilson and Associates Sports Turf has almost half of the multi-flow pipe required for the install already in stock left over from recent projects, and this allows them to pass their savings on to us. This project was advertised in the Greenville News on the city's vendor registry website and listed in South Carolina Business Opportunities and Construct Connect, and 6 companies attended the mandatory pre-bid meeting. Wilson and Associates Sports Turf has worked with the City of Greer Parks and Recreation Department for approximately 10 years, providing contracted services for turf management of our hospitality properties. And I'm confident with their ability to provide quality products and services, as well as their availability to complete the project in mid-July, as was outlined in the bid specs. With Council's approval, I would like to award this project to Wilson and Associates Sports Turf for the alternate bid in the amount of $26,695. I would like to answer any questions.
Council, upon the recommendation of Department Head, do I hear a motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Floor is open for discussion. Questions of Ms. Cunningham? Comments? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. McCormick rejoins us. We'll have the first reading of ordinance number 15-2017, an ordinance to provide that the annexation of properties and a portion of property owned by the Granville-Spartanburg Airport District located on the J. Vern Smith Parkway and Victor Hill Road, Victor Avenue Extension and McElrath Road, J. Vern Smith Parkway and Victor Avenue Extension by 100% petition is to establish zoning classification in I-1 industrial for said property. Cormac, I'm going to let you explain this one.
Sounds great. We have 3 parcels, and 2 are complete, and 1 is a portion of a larger parcel that are located near the inland port facility. You all have the map that we provided. I'll address those parcels in order. Subject parcel number 1 is 0.47 acres on the south side of J. Vernon Smith Parkway, and that is proposed as part of an annexation to complete that side of the road for the airport. Parcel number 2 is an 8.61 tract located on the south side of Victor Avenue Extension that will complete the airport-owned property on the south side of Victor Avenue Extension. And their large parcel is 131.49 acres out of a 241.33 acre tract. Currently, the gray shaded area on your map is in the city of Greer, and the remainder in the lighter gray is proposed to be annexed into the city, completing that parcel owned by the airport as part of the inland port area property. All proposed for I-1 industrial zoning for future development of industrial in the city of Greer. We do have a signed, fully executed annexation petition and memorandum of understanding from the airport with the city. And that's all I have this time.
As I typically do on first reading, is the owner of the property or a representative of the owner of the property with us this evening?
That may be all of us.
It could be. Is there anything that you would like to add to this conversation at this point?
No, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. With that, then, I'll entertain a motion to receive 15-2017.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion or questions. Go before the Planning Commission, it looked like on their June 19th meeting.
The purpose of this will be for what?
Industrial development. Yes, sir. Correct.
Others? Ms. Duncan?
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, we have no items for executive session this evening, but I will urge you to stick around after we adjourn. We will reconvene after our staff has time to get prepared to begin a workshop in regards to our budget for fiscal year 2017 and 2018. At this point in time, I am going to adjourn our regular session. I will recall us back into the workshop as soon as staff is ready. Council, having no further business this evening, with the exception of a workshop, stand adjourned.